Big Sonic, how did we come about? How did we come into existence? Why do I have these feet and these hands and this body and this head and all that type of stuff? What's going on, Big Sonic? Why do we have these physical characteristics, these physiological characteristics, these physical body parts and these physical features and etc.? Why do we look the way we do, Big Sonic? Why do we have hands and feet, a belly and all this type of stuff on us, Big Sonic? What's going on, Big Sonic? Were we like designed or something, or did we like, how did we come, why do we look like this, Big Sonic? Well, small Sonic, quite frankly, you look the way you do because your parents came together and they made a baby and you're the baby. You look, your parents, you got their genetics and their genetics determine your physical appearance. That's quite frankly all we know. But Big Sonic, I mean, like, why do we as hedgehogs and like what and other types of creatures, why do we look the way we do? Why do other types of creatures look the way they do? Why do we have like these physical like characteristics? Why do our genetics cause us to develop in the way we do right now? Like, why do we look like this? Even if our parents are the reason we look like this, why do our parents look the way they do? Why do our entire species look the way they do? How do we like come about? Why do we look the way we do? It's all so weird. Well, Big Sonic, I mean, I'm small, I'm Big Sonic, he's Small Sonic. Well, Small Sonic, quite frankly, if you're asking like why our species looks like this, why our species developed with 2 legs and hands and arms and all that type of stuff, well, Small Sonic, quite frankly, it's just simply because of the way our species developed, the history of our species, what our ancestors were going through and how our ancestors were adapting to their environments and ecologies and etc. and stuff. And over time we start to like develop these types of physical characteristics because our ancestors had to kind of adapt and survive, otherwise they would not make it and they would not be able to pass on their genes to the point where we're here where we are now, because our ancestors were passing their genes on and we are like the descendants. So to quite frankly answer your type of question, Small Sonic, we developed the way we did because, and we look the way we do because of the fact that our ancestors had to adapt to their environments and their ecologies. And the reason we have legs is because our ancestors needed to walk around to survive. And the reason we have hands is so our ancestors could like hold on to food and to eat it and stuff so they could survive. We look the way we do because of the fact that our ancestors develop these types of physical characteristics to survive in their environments and ecologies. That's kind of like a mouthful. Okay, so that's like that is indeed a mouthful, Big Sonic. But why still do we look the way we do? Why do we still have these types of physical characteristics from our ancestors, even if they had to adapt and survive in their environments? Why do we still look the way they do and stuff? Why do we still have these same types of physical characteristics? Well, Small Sonic, if you slowly and carefully look at our physical characteristics, we don't exactly look like our very ancient ancestors. Our ancestors looked kind of a lot more archaic. And the reason we look the way we do now is because we're still adapting and our physical characteristics are changing and we are evolving. So, Big Sonic, the reason we look the way we do and we have these physical characteristics is because our ancestors had to like adapt and survive in their environments and ecologies, and they developed these types of physical characteristics to survive. The reason we look the way we do is it just because of the fact that our ancestors had to develop these types of characteristics to survive, otherwise they would die off. Quite frankly, Small Sonic, yes, that is the most basic explanation for why we look the way we do. Our ancestors had to develop these types of physical characteristics to survive, or they would die off and their genes would go extinct. But Big Sonic, I still don't understand it. Why do we have these exact physical characteristics? Even if our ancestors had to develop these physical characteristics to survive, why do we still have them? Why didn't they develop other different types of physical characteristics? What's going on, Big Sonic? Small Sonic is quite hard to explain. It depends on your beliefs as well. Some people believe that we were just made like this. The reason we have these types of physical characteristics, these legs, hands, head, and all that type of stuff, is because some type of God made us. That's like one belief. And there's like the theory of evolution. I was talking about this a little bit earlier. The fact that, evolution, like our ancestors were developing in different types of environments and they were adapting to their environments and their physical characteristics were changing so that they could better survive in those types of environments. It all depends on like your beliefs. But quite frankly, Small Sonic, I believe that we could have been created by God or aliens. I believe aliens is also very possible. Or maybe perhaps we were just like, we just developed the way we did. We have these physical characteristics because our ancestors needed these types of characteristics to survive in their environments. quite frankly and quite honestly, Small Sonic, I just don't have a fucking clue. Well, Big Sonic, you have at least tried to explain to me why we look the way we do and why our species has these types of physical characteristics. I'm still lost and confused, Big Sonic. I still don't understand anything. Well, Small Sonic, I don't understand just as much as you do, and this is all just a big mystery to me. But hopefully you can kind of think about this and research about this, Small Sonic. I will do that right now, Big Sonic. I'm gonna go read a lot of books about this. Woo! Goodbye, Small Sonic. That guy is getting very annoying. Douche! The topic of this video is going to be about problems with the theory of evolution. Problems with the theory of evolution. Let's see if I can kind of, the problems with the theory of evolution. Shoot, I think I got it. Wait. On the origins of species, Charles Darwin. Problems with the theory of evolution. Oh, look at this, guys. Look at this, guys. On the origin of species, Charles Darwin. If I open it like Charles Darwin, obviously the theory of evolution links to some guy called Charles Darwin, some person called Charles Darwin. You know, he was like a very, I think he was like English, yeah. He was like a scientist-like person. Here he is, biologist, whatever. The theory of evolution, it kind of goes back to him. And look at that, the tree of life. Look at that, the tree of life. We all come from the same source. We all descend from the same ancestors. As we're kind of branching off in our own types of different ways. Here we are. And there's like, by means of natural selection. And I'm going to get onto this right now. But look, I got the book, look, On the Origins of Species, Charles Darwin. Anyway, our topic of this video is like, I'm now going to kind of be delving into like some of the problems with the theory of evolution. Again, I kind of already mentioned now Charles Darwin, because it kind of, the theory of evolution goes back to this guy, a person called Charles Darwin. I don't really need to even give you much of an introduction. In fact, I'm not going to tell you anything about the guy, because I want you to do your own research. Charles Darwin, figure out how to spell his name, and then go on to Google and like research about this guy called Charles Darwin. He wrote a book called On the Origin of Species, Charles Darwin. Quite a revolutionary work, indeed. I'm not going to tell you anything about the guy because I want you to do your own research. But anyway, quite frankly, but the theory of evolution, it kind of goes back to this guy called Charles Darwin, blah, 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 blah. And it was like the theory of evolution, so revolutionary. Now, because before, you know, like this type of, the development of like this type of, the theory of evolution and like, you know, Darwinism and natural selection and survival of the fittest, these types of Darwinian concepts. Before this, the predominant view on how mankind developed and like why we have these types of features and like why we look the way we do and like what our history is, what our genesis is, was just simply the fact that God made us. That was literally, you know, before like the theory of evolution, this was like the most common like type of understanding on the development of our species. God made us, that's why we look the way we do. It's like that's like very crude, but come on, that's quite honestly, that's like what people were believing in before Charles Darwin and before like this type of these like concepts of like the Darwinism and survival of the fittest and natural selection and this type of theory of evolution. Like all of this like was so revolutionary. I do give credit to Charles Darwin indeed, because he revolutionized like our understandings of like biology and everything about science, everything. He altered everything, our entire perception of this world and stuff and our reality. Charles Darwin, he literally like fucking he created he flipped the table, man. He fucking he flipped the script, he rewrote, he changed everything about like our sciences and stuff and everything like that. The theory of evolution is so revolutionary. These concepts of natural selection, Darwinism, survival of the fittest, all of this is so revolutionary. Before all of these types of concepts and this like the theory of evolution, before like the birth of Charles Darwin, you know what the most predominant view was in terms of like
mankind's development, our genesis, like where we come from, why we developed the way we did. You know, like the most predominant view was for all of these types of questions was that, oh, God made us. That's like the most simple, that literally people were like just believing like the fact that, oh, God made us. Why do we look the way we do? God made us. Why do we have these physical characteristics? God made us. What is like why did our like species develop the way they did? God made us. God made us in this specific way, and that's why we look the way we do. That was like the most predominant view before like the birth of Charles Darwin and like his kind of like theory of evolution, like Darwinism. Get it? Darwinism goes back to Charles Darwin, survival of the fittest, all that type of stuff. Before like the birth of Charles Darwin and like the creation of the theory of evolution and Darwinism and survival of the fittest, all of this type of stuff. Before all of this, the most predominant view for like these like for like why does mankind? Why do we have these types of like looks? Why do we develop the way we did? Why do we have all these like biological features? It's simply God made us in His image, and that's why we look the way we do, and that's why we have these types of physical characteristics and whatever. Sorry, it's gonna. Oops, sorry, I was checking on something. God made us, but of course, with the birth of Charles Darwin and the creation of the theory of evolution and these types of concepts of Darwinism, survival of the fittest, and blah blah blah. This type of like this predominant view, like, oh, God made us, this got like completely flipped onto its head, and now the most predominant view about like where mankind came from, why our species developed the way it did, and why we have these physical characteristics, what our genesis and whatever like that and stuff, and our development, all of that type of stuff, all these types of questions. Now the most predominant view is like, oh, we evolved via like the theory of evolution, via like natural selection, via survival of the fittest, via Darwinism. That is why we look the way we do. That's why our species developed the way they did. Us human beings, we look the way we do because of like the process of evolution and natural selection, survival of the fittest, and millions and cajillions of years of like intricate millions and cajillions of years of intricate adaptations that were occurring to help our ancestors survive in their ecologies and environments, and we're like the final product. Obviously we're still like evolving and stuff, and our descendants are going to look a lot different, supposedly, according to the type of theory of evolution. All of this is like so mesmerizing. It really stimulates the human intellect, the fact that, okay, like, the theory of evolution, it's not natural selection, all of that type of stuff. This is like the predominant view now in our modern society. The fact that, okay, what these types of questions, where did mankind come from, what's our genesis, what's our history, why do we look the way we do? Because quite frankly, we were developing and stuff, and we were evolving. Get it? The theory of evolution, evolution. Our ancestors were adapting to their types of environments, and there was like mutations occurring and stuff. And our ancestors, the ones that had the most beneficial mutations, they managed to survive, and they passed their genetics on, and the other ones just died off. And now we have those specific mutations and adaptations and physical characteristics, and we're all just one big fat family, and we all come from like the same type of ancestors that lived in the ocean. All of mankind and animals and stuff and plants and creatures, we all are like multicellular organisms. We're all like part of the same family. We come from like the same roots in the ocean, like these types of creatures. Anyway, that's the theory of evolution in a nutshell. Like sort of like the fact that we were like, us human beings, we were made in a quick second by some type of creator god. We were like gradually like developing and adapting to like not us, but like our ancestors were gradually developing and adapting to their natural habitats and ecologies and stuff, and their physical characteristics were changing to like better suit their environments and ecologies, and we're like the final byproduct of all of that like millions and cajillions of years of intricate like adaptations and evolution and mutations and whatever. We're like the final byproduct of all of this stuff. Like we actually are like very malformed. Like we're literally like mutants. Do you know that? If you believe in the theory of evolution, you have to believe that us human beings, we're literally fucking mutants. Do you know that? We're like fucking deformed. Like our ancestors came out of the ocean, then they turned into weird like lizard-like creatures and monkey creatures, and now here we are. We're like fucked up mutants. Do you know that? The theory of evolution, basically, in a nutshell, like we're all just mutants, and we were like, our ancestors were like adapting and evolving to their ecologies and stuff, and we're like the final byproducts of all of that, all those thousands, cajillions, bajillions of years of like careful adaptations and natural selection and mutations occurring and whatever. And now we're like the final byproduct. The theory of evolution in a nutshell. Okay, so what like, problems with the theory of evolution, because that's what the topic of this video is. What are some of the problems with this type of theory of evolution? The theory of evolution, quite honestly, it's like there's nothing really wrong with the theory of evolution. In fact, that's why it is now the predominant view in terms of like where mankind came from, how we developed, and all that type of stuff, the theory of evolution, natural selection, Darwinism sort of is like the predominant view, especially in academia and science, and for good reason, because, you know, like the theory of evolution and natural selection, all these types of concepts of Darwinism and stuff, it is somewhat logical, because you can sort of observe like the theory of evolution in action, natural selection in action, and you can just simply look at like the fact that, you know, like animal species, like they change all the time. Like there's like species of what was it, moths, and there was like moths that had like a darker color, and there was like moths that had like a lighter color, and it's like there was like a lot of it was like in the 19th century, like the moths that had like a specific type of color, they started to like populate more, and the ones that had this other type of color that wasn't like advantageous, they died off. And that's theory of evolution, natural selection, Darwinism in action. Is the theory of evolution, you cannot like debunk it, because it's so like obviously true that the fact that animal species, we adapt and change and evolve towards our like in our environments, we adapt to our environments, and we evolve and we change our physical characteristics to better suit our environments and stuff like that. All of that is like so factually untrue, it's observably true and stuff. But there are some like very kind of like there are like a lot of horrendous problems with the theory of evolution. One of the biggest problems with the theory of evolution is kind of like the fact that obviously the actual theory of evolution, there's no like it's only like this type of more like Darwinism and stuff, this more like atheistic approach to the theory of evolution and stuff, like the fact that we were evolving, but there was no like, it wasn't like inspired by any type of divine entity. We just simply evolved from like lesser creatures, and we just gradually developed into human beings, and there was like no divine creature that was like divine entity was like kind of manipulating anything. It was just blindly, by accident, we were just like developing from lesser creatures, and we were just turning into human beings and stuff. Is it that like problems with the theory of evolution? One of the biggest problems with the theory of evolution is obviously the fact that like entropy and stuff like that. Entropy is kind of like a big fat problem with the theory of evolution. Entropy, quite frankly, like, you know, we know observably, this is like so observable, the fact that like systems, like unless there's like some type of like something to keep things in check, like systems gradually just kind of degrade and turn into chaos and stuff, and things start to get disoriented and stuff. And like a good example of this would be the fact that like look at the fact that like us human beings, like our bodies, we grow old and then we die. Our cells like decay and break apart, and they gradually like they decay and stuff until we're just like nothing but like a corpse, and then bacteria eats us from the inside out. That's like sort of entropy. That is like sort of entropy. Entropy, basically, systems gradually like kind of degrade into like systems become disorganized and become more chaotic as time goes on. That's sort of like what entropy is, and this is kind of like more, it's very observable. You can just kind of, if you kind of like a fact like, you know, Big Bang, there's something like the heat death and all this type of stuff, like supernovas. There was like, look at the fact that like on Earth, like so many like there's like so many like disasters and earthquakes and all that. That's like sort of entropy. Like systems gradually like kind of like systems gradually like kind of like systems gradually transition into like chaos and become disorganized and stuff as time goes on and stuff. This is kind of very observable. Again, one of the best examples to use is the fact that us human beings, like our bodies, we grow old and we die, and our cells, everything inside of our bodies decays, and it sort of disperses back into like the soil, and we die, and we get killed, we get like sort of like eaten alive by bacteria and stuff. Our corpses get munched on by bacteria and stuff, and we slowly decay into like the soil. That's entropy for you. Entropy, systems gradually like transition into like disorder and chaos inevitably. That's sort of like what entropy is. And the theory of evolution, this is kind of very interesting. The theory of evolution is sort of is at odds with like these types of like understandings of entropy and stuff, because like evolution, get it, we evolve, we are like evolving and something, we're becoming more sophisticated. There's like some type of there's like some type of I don't know, it's like there's like some type of, I guess I can't really exactly term it, it's like we evolving, there's like some type of progression upwards and stuff like that. There's like we're becoming more sophisticated, it's like we're growing, we're developing, evolution, get it, we're evolving, adapting, our physical characteristics are becoming more advanced to better suit our environments. All of this type of stuff is kind of, I don't know, I just don't understand how entropy wouldn't kind of fit into this. Like the genetic material, like, and stuff is so like mutations. That's what the theory of evolution is kind of based on. It's like mutations and adaptations and stuff like that. An animal species its genetic material starts to like mutate and adapt and stuff, and change and it becomes better suited to its environment. All of that. One of the biggest problems is entropy. I just don't understand how like the theory of evolution, how entropy would not like kind of be an issue. Wouldn't the genetic material inevitably, wouldn't it, like all these mutations, wouldn't that kind of like and a lot of people that believe in Darwinism and the theory of evolution, they'll say, well, these types of mutations, there's like things keeping things in check, and I don't know, it's very difficult to me. I just don't understand, like an animal species, the genetic material, if it keeps like gradually, if the mutations keep packing on, wouldn't there be like so many different types of problems with that? Like the genetic material will be kind of like very degraded, corrupted and stuff. The animal species would not be able to like fully function in a healthy way. Like inbreeding, we know, like in terms of like mutations, inbreeding's like horrendous for us human beings. Maybe a lot of like Darwinists and stuff, and people that believe in the theory of evolution, they would be like, well, like these mutations, they fizzle out and stuff, and they kind of like they balance. There's like some type of balance for it anyway. And the animal species, they like the genetic material, it mutates, but it kind of sort of stays, it kind of equals out. I don't know, some dumb shit. I don't know how the fuck in terms of entropy and stuff like that. Like the genetic material, an animal species genetic material, I don't understand like how all these, like, because that's what the theory of evolution is based on, mutation and adaptation. Like all these mutations, all the genetics like changing in such tremendous ways. I don't understand how the animal species would not like suffer from any type of major health consequences from that and stuff, and die instantly. I don't know. Obviously the theory of evolution, it kind of like in terms of like time, it's like a lot of people that believe in the theory of evolution and Darwinism, they'll tell you that it's just a matter of like a million years. Like obviously an animal species, if it like has these lots of mutations in like a couple hundred years, it's going to suffer from like a lot of health problems. But in terms of like a million years, if like these mutations are slowly like kind of adding onto the animal's genetic material, things are going to be like kind of stabilized over the course of a million years. Maybe, I don't know. Entropy is just kind of very because these mutations and stuff like that in the genetic material, wouldn't it just become degraded and corrupted and stuff, and the animal species would not be able to like function and turn and be healthy? Wouldn't it just kind of like all of this evolution, wouldn't it just kind of backfire, and the animal species genetics would be just, the genetic material would be too mutated and corrupted? I just don't understand it. Obviously, a lot of people would say, a lot of people that believe in Darwinism and the theory of evolution, they'll tell you that, I don't know, it's just the genetics, they just become stable and healthy again. I don't know, even, like, it's so weird, the genetic material at the beginning, like things, any type of animal species, it was just mutating, the mutations would keep packing on. I just don't understand like how the animal species maintain like some type of healthy, like, I don't know, maintain like some type of healthy health, it maintained its like healthy, like, I don't know, health, like an animal species, like, and because the theory of evolution is kind of like it links to like mutations and adaptations and stuff like that, and an animal species genetic material starts to mutate to better adapt to its environment. But you know, these types of mutations, wouldn't the genetic material become corrupted and degraded? That's why I can't really kind of add these types of things up in my head in terms of like the theory of evolution, like how an animal species genetic material would not just become so like mutated and corrupted to such an extent that the animal species would just fail and die. I don't understand that. Maybe, of course, over the course of a million years, like these mutations start to level out and stuff, and things, the animal species gets like better adapted and stuff. I don't know, it's kind of a big fat mystery. But entropy, I was talking about entropy, systems gradually degrade and kind of revert to like chaos and disorganization and stuff. I don't know. That's what entropy is in a nutshell. That like systems gradually like fall apart over time. This is so like observable. Like the fact that us human beings, anyone watching this video, you're going to grow old and you're going to die. That's like entropy. That's like the perfect example for entropy and stuff. But you know, in terms of like the theory of evolution, like systems, like an animal species genetic material can keep continually mutating and adapting. There's not going to be any like side effects to this. The genetic material isn't going to be corrupted and degraded over time. It's so bizarre to me. I don't understand it. That's like one of the biggest mysteries with the and biggest problems with the theory of evolution, entropy. Like the fact that an animal species genetic material, if the mutations keep packing on, I don't understand how the genetic material isn't going to become so corrupted and degraded and stuff, and how the animal species isn't just going to quite simply die and kind of like turn into like mush. I don't know. Obviously natural selection, the animals that have all these negative mutations, they just get picked off in the wild. I don't know, something like that. Maybe a lot of people believe in that. Maybe people that believe in the theory of evolution, they'll just tell you that's not natural selection, the bad mutations just get picked off. I don't know. Entropy still would like kind of like heavily like go against like the theory of evolution. Entropy, systems degrade and become and fall into disorder over time. So this is so observably true. Like us human beings, your body and stuff, like our bodies, we're gonna like all turn old and die, and our cells are gonna like all die out and stuff, and we're gonna like slowly get munched on by bacteria, and we're just gonna like dissolve into the soil, or you might get cremated, you might turn into ashes. I don't know, whatever happens to you after you die, your organs, everything's just gonna fail, and you're gonna like collapse into yourself, and your body's gonna disappear. Entropy, every like systems gradually fall apart in transition into disorder and chaos and stuff. That's so true. Entropy, the theory of evolution, like it's just like evolution. That's what it sort of is about. It's like systems, they gradually become more sophisticated. Animal species, like lesser creatures, can gradually transition and become more sophisticated and developed. Entropy is like a big fat like problem with this, because we know systems gradually like collapse and fall into chaos and disorder. I don't also understand it. Entropy is like one of the biggest problems with the theory of evolution. Another problem with the theory of evolution is, especially if you're like a very staunch atheist, is abiogenesis. Abiogenesis. What is abiogenesis? Life can emerge from dead inorganic material. This is like has never been observed in all of our history, medical history, human history. In terms of like our history as a species and as human beings, we never like witnessed like life because if you're like a very staunch atheist and you believe in the theory of evolution, you believe that there was no God at all involved in our like genesis and our development. You believe that like life, so you believe in abiogenesis, and because otherwise the theory, it becomes kind of like incoherent. And like, how did like life emerge if there was no creator? You'd say, oh, life just came about. That's so abiogenesis. You believe in like abiogenesis, and my GoPro Hero 9 got too hot, or the SD card was getting full, I don't know, and it turned off quickly. Anyway, abiogenesis. So you believe in abiogenesis then? Like, if you're a very staunch atheist person, but you still believe in and you believe in the theory of evolution and stuff like that, you're an atheist though, and you don't believe there was God or anything behind like this type of theory of evolution and natural selection, Darwinism, and our development as a species. Anyway, abiogenesis, that's like one of the other biggest one of the other bigger problems with atheism, with the theory of evolution. Fuck, I'm getting so sleepy now. That's another big problem with the theory of evolution, right? That abiogenesis, like what the fuck? Abiogenesis, life can emerge from dead inorganic material. The theory of evolution. Obviously, you might not necessarily believe, like you might believe in the theory of evolution, right? And you might believe that like God was like behind it. You might be like a theologian, but you still believe in the theory of evolution. I know that it's not like you. I mean, this is this type of problem. The abiogenesis. This is like really only a problem if you're like a very big atheist person and you believe in the theory of evolution, but you believe in atheism and you believe that there was no God behind our genesis or anything like that, and so you then believe that life can just emerge from dead inorganic material on its own without any like type of creator making up the processes to happen and stuff. I don't know. Abiogenesis, that's another big problem with the theory of evolution. That life can emerge from dead inorganic material. You might like a lot of people that believe in Darwinism and the theory of evolution will be like, why is abiogenesis a problem? And stuff. Because I don't know, if you believe in the theory of evolution, you might think to yourself that there's no big issue here, like life can emerge from dead inorganic material. What's the issue? The issue is we've never witnessed that in all of our history, that life can emerge from dead inorganic material. It's never been witnessed. Dead inorganic material. If you want to prove me I'm wrong, if you want to prove the contrary, you can try demonstrating that life can emerge from dead inorganic material. It's never been proven in all of our history and stuff like that life can emerge from dead inorganic material. It's never been proven. And so what am I getting at? I'm getting at like abiogenesis, like the problems with the theory of evolution. One of the problems with the theory of evolution is entropy and stuff like that. Systems gradually collapse and decay over time. They don't become more sophisticated. That's what the theory of evolution seems to suggest, right? That systems like species and organisms and stuff, they can become more advanced, more sophisticated over time, not collapse, not become more degraded. It's so dumb to me that like single-celled organisms turned into multi-celled organisms, and then they became like large animal species. That's so fucking dumb to me. The law of entropy. Systems collapse and degrade and become more corrupted over time. They don't become more sophisticated and developed and advanced. That's never been proven in all of our history. Like the theory of evolution, seems like a bit of a stretch. I don't know, but like obviously I do believe in the theory of evolution. I just don't believe in like the type of theory of evolution that we all came out of the ocean and like abiogenesis, life emerged from dead inorganic material, and us human beings, we were just like randomly like getting mutations and we became what we are now, and that's fucking so dumb to me. That does not add up at all. abiogenesis and entropy, those are like the biggest problems with the theory of evolution. Abiogenesis, life can emerge from dead inorganic material. If you're an atheist and you believe in because the theory of evolution, Darwinism, natural selection, like these types of things, typically these are like things that are associated with atheism and people that are like atheists, because like if you're like a religious person, like natural selection, survival of the fittest, the theory of evolution, not really going to be your cup of tea, because you're going to be like a believer in God and you think that God made you and everyone else. I don't know. But like a lot of like atheist, like the natural selection theory of evolution and stuff, there's a reason like why these types of things are associated with atheism and atheist people. I don't know, but in my opinion, like, this is so dumb to me. Abiogenesis, like there's like a ton of problems with the theory of evolution, and especially like the more atheistic approach to the theory of evolution. Like a lot of people that are into the theory of evolution and natural selection and Darwinism, they're typically atheists. I don't know. Like, obviously, some theologians can be into it as well, but I mean, if you believe in like the Abrahamic God and stuff, you're going to be strongly motivated to believe that we were like engineered and created, not like the products of like evolution, because it contradicts like some of the scriptures and stuff that how we were made in God's image. I don't know, but obviously I actually believe in like, I'm kind of like a sort of like a little bit of a theologian. I do believe I'm close to the Islamic religion and stuff, but I believe in the theory of evolution as well. Theory of evolution and stuff, in Darwinism, some concepts of it. But the biggest problems with the theory of evolution, especially its more atheistic approach to the theory of evolution, is the fact that abiogenesis, life can emerge from dead inorganic material. It's never been proven in all of our human history and stuff, in medical history, all sorts of history. It's never been proven that life can emerge from dead inorganic material. Dead inorganic material. You might be a dumbass and you might be, oh, but you can like get a petri dish and you can see bacteria grow out of the petri dish. That's not dead inorganic material. The petri dish, it already had like microbes on there. That's why there was like some growth happening. Get like a piece of iron or something dead inorganic material, make it come alive, like make it like grow and sprout out. It's fucking impossible. That's one of the biggest issues with the theory of evolution, especially this more atheistic approach to the theory of evolution, is that abiogenesis never been witnessed in all of our history. Another issue would be entropy. Systems become more sophisticated and developed. Single-celled organisms turn to multi-celled organisms, turn to like entirely large animal species. Entropy would fuck this all up, because we know for a fact that entropy is real, entropy is true. In our universe, we witness entropy all the time. Again, your human body, we're humans, we get born and then we grow old and then we die. That's entropy for you. Everything just inevitably starts to fall apart and decay. That's entropy. So, but the theory of evolution kind of says that no, systems can become more advanced, developed over time, obviously, and the genetic material doesn't get corrupted at all. It just keeps mutating and advancing and stuff. That's kind of very weird to me. It's so bizarre. There's so many different types of issues again with these notions of the theory of evolution, Darwinism, natural selection, especially like these. If you're coming at this from a very like strict atheistic like perspective and approach. Problems with the theory of evolution, abiogenesis, life can emerge from dead inorganic material. It's never been witnessed in all of our history. If you're an atheist and you believe in the theory of evolution, you believe you believe in abiogenesis, that life emerged from dead inorganic material. Prove to me that is possible. Like prove it, demonstrate it. It can now. That's what science is about. Science is about demonstrations and stuff like that. It can never be demonstrated that abiogenesis, life can emerge from dead inorganic material. That can never be demonstrated. Okay, so other than abiogenesis, what about Other than abiogenesis, what is it? Entropy. Entropy is like something else that can't be like, you can't reconcile. Really, it's very difficult to reconcile the theory of evolution with like entropy. A lot of people be like, oh, this guy's just a dumbass using like big words to make us confused. No, entropy, think about it. In our universe, everything collapses and falls apart and decays over time. Like us human beings, we're born, then we grow old, and then we die. Plants die, leaves wither apart, and they turn orange, and they start to crumble up to pieces and stuff like that. Everything in our universe inevitably, like entropy, falls under the law of entropy, because everything in our universe inevitably like crumbles and falls apart and decays and degrades over time. The theory of evolution kind of suggests that systems like animal species, they can continually like pack on mutations. Their genetic material can keep advancing and stuff without like any type of corruptions happening and degradation and stuff. A lot of people that believe in the theory of evolution, they'll say that, oh well, natural selection can take care of that issue. The animal species that get all these bad mutations, they die off, and the ones that get the good mutations, and there's good and bad mutations, I don't know, it's fucking dumb. The genetic material isn't going to get corrupted over time. This is so fucking stupid. Entropy would fuck up the process and the theory of evolution for you. I'm telling you, that's, if you can reconcile, then a lot of you probably are lost. A lot of you might just think I'm trying to be too smart. Entropy, using big words like this guy. No, entropy though, is so like, entropy is like so factual. It's everything in our universe degrades, becomes more corrupted over time. That is fucking facts. You cannot like prove to me that entropy, like like how most things don't fall under the law of entropy. That entropy is fucking facts. You know that nearly everything in our universe falls under the law of entropy. Nearly everything in our universe kind of degrades, gets more corrupted, and collapses and falls apart over time. Think about it. Everything, like us human beings, we're born, then we grow old, and then we die. Our cells like dissolve into the soil, and so we literally turn into mush out when we die. Leaves, you know, when leaves they go green, then they go orange, then they like wither apart. Everything like decays and becomes more corrupted, and like etc. etc. That's one of the biggest issues with the theory of evolution, is entropy. That an animal species' genetic material can just continually just pack on mutations. An animal species can keep like developing itself and stuff like that. It cannot. Its genetic material isn't going to get corrupted and degraded. It's not going to suffer from health problems. It's not going to like face extinction. It's fucking so stupid to me. There's so many different other types of problems with the theory of evolution, but like one of the biggest couple problems for me is abiogenesis and entropy. These things cannot be reconciled. Abiogenesis, life can emerge from dead inorganic material. Obviously, you might be like you might not be like an atheist person, but you believe in the theory of evolution. Fair enough, because I'm sort of like that. I'm sort of like, I believe that there was like some type of creator and stuff like that. I'm not like a big like believer in like in the fact that like we came out of like primordial soup and stuff by accident, and there was no God involved at all. There's so many problems with the theory of evolution, especially if you're looking at it and coming at it from this like very strict atheist approach. I don't know. It's very dumb to me. I don't know. You know, abiogenesis, entropy. What other types of problems are there with the theory of evolution? Really, those are like the biggest problems that I can kind of think of right now. Yeah, those are really the biggest problems. Entropy, like the genetic material of an animal species, wouldn't it just become so corrupted over time if mutations keep packing on and on and on and on for millions of years, but the genetic material isn't going to get degraded and corrupted? That's a mystery to me. I don't know. But a lot of people that believe in the Darwinism and the theory of evolution, they might come at me and say, oh, it's because of like the fact that natural selection, the genetics, they get filtered out and stuff, and the good genetics stay around. I don't know, it's fucking dumb to me. Millions of years of evolution, so the genetic material is not going to get degraded and corrupted over time. Entropy, fucking how would you reconcile entropy with the theory of evolution? It's a mystery for me. Entropy, like nearly everything in our universe falls under the law of entropy. Like things we know for a fact that nearly everything like falls apart, degrades, becomes corrupted over time. But you know, the theory of evolution, an animal species, genetic material can just keep advancing, mutating, developing itself. It's fucking so weird to me. For millions of years packing on mutations, and animal species keep packing on mutations with no issues. It's fucking so weird to me. It's a big fat mystery. Obviously, I do believe in the theory of evolution. I just don't believe that in like this more like atheistic approach to the theory of evolution, that animals and us human beings and everything around us, we just all came by accident. We were like fucking developing from primordial soup, and we just came out of the ether and stuff, and abiogenesis happened, and life emerged from dead inorganic material for no reason. That's fucking so stupid to me. It's never been witnessed in all of our history. There's so many other types of problems, but those are the two biggest problems with the theory of evolution, at least from my knowledge. Abiogenesis, which has never been witnessed in all of our history, like that life can emerge from dead inorganic material. That's one big problem with the theory of evolution. Another big problem would be entropy. Systems become more degraded and corrupted over time. Nearly everything in our universe falls under the law of entropy. Things gradually become degraded and corrupted over time, get disorganized, blah blah blah, into chaos and stuff like that. But you know, the theory of evolution and animal species genetic material can keep like developing and stuff without any type of corruptions happening, degradation happening for millions of years. Like mutations keep packing on, there's no degradation at all. It's fucking so dumb to me. How can that be possible? How can like an animal species genetic material can keep like advancing? It's not going to like suffer from any type of degradation over the course of millions of years. Like the mutations aren't packing on. It's a big fat mystery to me. I just can't fucking connect those types of dots. Entropy. How do you reconcile that with the theory of evolution? It's so fucking obviously a lot of people be like, oh, this guy's just a dumbass trying to act smart. Entropy. What the fuck do you mean by that? Entropy. Why is that relevant and important? Think about it, an animal species genetic material. How the fuck would that not become so degraded and corrupted? Millions of years of evolution, millions of years of mutations being packed on. How would an animal species not just turn into mush? It's so weird to me. A lot of people that believe in the theory of evolution, they're going to like come up with like a bunch of different types of excuses. I believe in the theory of evolution, but that species and animals, we adapt to our environments over time. That is facts. But I don't believe in this fucking bullshit that we all came out of the ocean, abiogenesis happened, life just emerged from dead inorganic material by accident, and now we're here, and millions of years of mutations and adaptations, but we haven't turned into mush yet. And our genetics haven't been degraded and corrupted to such a massive extent. Fucking, this is so dumb. Entropy and abiogenesis, entropy, those are the biggest issues with the theory of evolution, especially if you're coming at the theory of evolution with this like very atheistic approach. Fucking so dumb to me. I can't connect those types of dots. But anyway, what else? What other types of problems with the theory of evolution? Really, those are the biggest ones: entropy and abiogenesis. But fucking so dumb to me. There's other types of issues as well, like an animal species. Mutations again, and that relates to entropy though. Like an animal species, if it keeps packing on mutations, the genetic material is going to get corrupted and fucking degraded. I don't get it. Millions of years of evolution, millions of years of mutations and adaptations, but an animal species doesn't turn into mush. How the fuck is that possible? There's like, think about any type of animal species. Millions of years of like mutations. The animal species doesn't turn into mush. It's a mystery to me. I don't know how the fuck that is possible. Entropy and abiogenesis, big fat. Those like it's hard to reconcile the theory of evolution with those types of things. What else? What other issues are there with the theory of evolution? Really, not much. There aren't really any other types of problems. Just entropy and abiogenesis. Maybe the fact that if an animal species like adaptations, mutations, that's gonna like take a massive toll on an animal species' health, genetic material, the mutations again. I just don't understand millions of years of mutations, but the genetic material doesn't get corrupted and degraded. The animal species doesn't turn to mush. That's so fucking weird to me. Abiogenesis and entropy, those are like the biggest problems that I have with the theory of evolution, especially if you're coming at it with this like very atheistic stance and approach. And I don't want this video to be too long, and that's about it.